We all know yellow is the best color in the format right now. A lot of you are either playing this deck or playing to beat the deck. So today I'm going to do two videos. This first one is going to be how to build the deck, and then the second one is going to be how to beat the deck. For those of you who are just looking on how to beat the deck, I got a lot of requests for that. Hopefully you'll learn something from this one too. Maybe the different builds that yellow can go through, what cards to look out for, what every build is kind of trying to do and trying to play. So we're just going to get straight into it. What is the color concept for yellow? Yellow has DP reduction, healing, and as of BT4 and BT5, they do swarming as well. So that's what makes yellow feel like tough to play against, is because they can kind of do a little bit of everything. And for that reason, it is the best color. It's been the best color probably since set 3 Shine Greymon. Yeah, if you're not playing yellow, you have definitely played against yellow and gotten trounced. So why is that exactly? Well, number one, and probably the biggest strength of yellow right now, is that they can clear your cards while also building their own board. So other decks kind of have to choose in between removal and increasing their board state. Like, for example, let's take red. They either have to choose between playing a Gaia Force to kill one of your cards, or Transcendent Sword or a Plasma Stake or whatever, or they can play a Digimon. Yellow does both. Their removal is their Digimon effects. No other color really does that, and that's definitely the strongest thing that yellow has going for it right now. Building off of that, they have the strongest turn 3 threat in the game, which is the Wargrowl and Raising into Slash Angemon play. So for those of you who don't know, what yellow players will almost always try to set up in the first turns of the game is they'll go Egg into level 3, and then they'll go level 4 into Wargreymon and Raising past the turnover, and then you pass the turnover to them. They bring out their Wargreymon, then they can Digiburst to minus 4,000 DP on one of your Digimon. So either they kill a guy outright or they just weaken one of your guys, and they Digivolve Slash Angemon on top of that, which is when Digivolving you minus 8,000 DP on a target Digimon. So between that and Wargrowl, that's 12,000 DP total that they can remove, which is either going to be, like, say, a rookie and an ultimate, so a level 3 and a level 5, or they can even just straight up clear one of your megas if you somehow manage to get a mega on the board already, because pretty much every mega in the game is less than 12,000 DP, except for Nidhogg, I guess, and opposing Lord Nightmons. But we'll get into the intricacies of the mirror in the How to Beat video. Also, they get all their on-plays for free. So Pulsemon, Nightmon, what else? Patamon, Lusamon. They have a lot of really strong on-play effects, and because they have cards that enable them to play those cards from their hand for free, they can get really powerful value out of their cards. So they're not using memory to get these strong effects. They just get it for free for playing their deck. They have access to healing. Again, the Lusamon and the Promo Patamon. I like Promo Patamon better. We'll get into that later on in the video. I guess there's also the Rookie Salamon, but you don't really see that card as much anymore outside of Rookie Rush lists. They can't be memory choked because of Blinding Ray. Blinding Ray is probably the best memory gainer card in the game right now. Sure, they burn themselves, but in yellow that's not really a problem because some of their effects even want them to be at 3 or less security, or they can just heal it back later. So it's really a non-issue. And the craziest part about Blinding Ray is they can use it when they have 0 security. So they can basically cast it for free. So you almost get punished for leaving them at 0 security, as opposed to other decks where, you kind of want them to be at 0 security, because that means you're probably going to win the game next turn. With yellow, you probably have to finish them off in one turn. Don't leave them at 0, because you can just give them free Blinding Rays, and then they just make a crazy comeback play. They have the best memory tamer in the game. I said Mimi was the best memory tamer. TK is for sure tied with Mimi. Just the fact that you can look at your whole security, you can know what's going to come up, and then you can pick something out of it to fix your hand, and then you heal one card back into security. So if you're playing Zwart Defeats, you might even put a Zwart Defeat in there. You can throw an option in there. Just a better, stronger Digimon. You know, TK is insane. Absolutely insane. You can even put another TK in your security. Maybe you'll do that. And then, you know, sometimes we've all played against a yellow player who has 3 TKs in their security, and it's absolutely insane. And finally, yellow has a lot of strong boss monsters. So a lot of times you won't know what version of yellow you're playing against until they drop like their tech level 6. So, because the bottom end is pretty much the same for every yellow deck, but then once they get to their level 6s, you know, all of a sudden it could be a Massimon. They trash one of your security and they can go for game when you weren't expecting it. They can play the Wargreymon, and then if you're in the mirror, they'll just pick a big fat dunk on you, and it's really, really upsetting. They can run the Valder arms, and then there's also the versions that run Zwart Defeat. They have really, really good boss monsters. They have a really strong top end, strong bottom end. I will say they also have the best level 3s in the game right now. That's why we see the yellow Rookie Rush deck be so popular, just based solely on the strength of those level 3s. The deck's weakness is their level 4s. They have the worst level 4s in the game. We'll get into that. And again, they have the Wargreymon and the Angemon if you choose to play that card. Or not Angemon, Angewomon, the lady one. Alright, so if you're playing yellow, these are probably the reasons why you're playing a yellow deck. Number one, of course, Lord Nightmon. Card is the strongest boss in the game. He lets you play your level 3s for free or your level 5 Nightmons. And that's honestly the most ridiculous part about the card, is that you can Lord Nightmon swing, play a Nightmon from your hand for free. So you just played a free level 5, you turboed into level 5 for free. And then you can put a level 6 on top of that Nightmon right away. So you can get immediate value with Slash Angemon, or even Mastimon. You can get immediate value if you put a Mastimon on top of it. Or you can set up a big play for next turn by putting a second Lord Nightmon out on the field, or a Wargreymon to threaten in the mirror, or whatever level 6s. What other level 6s do they play? That's really it. There's some other weird tech ones, but I don't even think we're going to go over those. And finally, for each Digimon you have in play, you get plus 1000 DP on all turns. So even on your opponent's turn, Lord Nightmon is most often 12, 13, 14 DP, which makes it really hard to swing over and remove. It's a very sticky card that generates a lot of advantage. Yeah, Lord Nightmon right now is the reason to play yellow. And of course, we all knew that. Secondly, of course, best memory tamer in the game, TK. And then I picked Starmons for right here, but this is pretty much like all their minus DP on plays. So Starmons, Nightmon. We can also count Pulsemon just on play, Promopatamon, Lucimon. All their on plays that trigger off of Lord Nightmon, or you can get them with the Massimon as well, are very powerful. They give you a lot of immediate value, and you basically cast them for free because of the mechanics of the other cards and their interactions. And finally, we have the Wargreymon turn 3 play. So again, it's Wargreymon out of Raising, Digiburst 2, minus 4000 DP on something, Slash Angemon on top of it, minus 8000 DP on something. You either kill 2 things or you kill 1 big thing. And it's just so much advantage, and they can't choke you out of it because the Wargrey comes out of Raising. So worst case scenario, when you Digivolve into the Slash, you pass their turn over, but Slash only costs 3 memory. So you're passing them over 2 memory and you just clear 2 of their guys? Really not a big deal. It's very strong play, and something that if you are against yellow, you need to watch out for. But again, we'll get into that in the How to Beat video. Alright, so now we're going to go into all the viable cards in the yellow deck that you can play. Let's see, I'm going to actually full screen that. I didn't do that last time. First off is the eggs. Yellow has 3 different viable eggs, and you can make arguments for all of them. In Lord Knight decks, the most popular one you're going to see is the Pikmon. So if you have 3 or more Digimon, you reduce one of your opponent's Digimon by minus 1000 DP. So when you stack that on top of all your other minus DP effects, If you can math it out correctly, you can wipe your opponent's board with the Pikmon, and sometimes you are just 1,000 short, and then the Pikmon comes up. So this card definitely gets in there. Don't sleep on the minus 1,000. Coromon is the same effect, except the trigger is if you have 3 or fewer security. So this one is if you have 3 or more Digimon in play. This one is if you have 3 or less security. Coromon can come up in situations where the Pikmon can't. So let's say maybe you're a little behind in board tempo and you can't establish the 3. Sometimes the Coromon comes in handy because if you're behind, you're probably behind in security. Or you can even just blinding ray yourself, and then you can hit that 3 security threshold, and it might help you remove something. And finally, there's the Upamon. If you have 3 or less security, draw 1. So it's your draw power. In Lord Knightmon decks, you don't burn yourself as much as you did in other formats, or specifically last format with Wargreymon. So Upamon has lost a little bit of value, but it does come up late game. I recommend you can play 1. So you can go 4-1, 4-1, or you can even go 3-1-1 and just kind of tech out your eggs. And they're all good, and they all come up in different situations. So there really isn't any right or wrong way to do this. All right, moving on to level 3s. Yellow has probably the strongest level 3s in the game. They have all very versatile effects. They have good on plays, and they enable you to do some cool things because you can play them for free. And for that reason, the vanillas in yellow actually probably have the least amount of value out of all the other colors, just because you're missing out on an effect. And because you play them for free, the cheaper memory cost doesn't necessarily come up. So if you have room for a vanilla in your yellow deck, you're probably missing out on another key rookie that you should be playing. So you don't really use these. Starmons is absolutely insane. This card is nuts. So for each Digimon you have in play, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 1,000 DP. You max out Starmons in every yellow build, basically. In every Lord Knight or Massimon build. You can clear very easily rookies with Starmons. Sometimes even just like rookies that cost 2,000 DP, you just need one other Digimon and you slap down the Starmons and you can kill it. Blockers are not even that hard to kill with Starmons either, especially in yellow decks where you can combo it with other DP minus effects. Starmons just kind of helps you get that extra few thousand in that you need to clear boards. You have to play for this card. Lucimon. This one is controversial, and I'm going to... okay, number 1, it's an expensive secret rare. It's like a $60 card. Number 2, it's a rookie that has 10,000 DP, and the on-play is you always recover 1. So no matter how much security you have, you recover 1. Sounds very good, right? Especially because it's a level 3, and you can play it off of your Lord Knightmon or Angelmon effects for free. The big problem with Lucimon is that you can't Digivolve it over your level 2, so it's not a true rookie in that sense, because the best part about level 3s is that you can immediately use them to start cycling your hand. So that's why you always want to see a level 3 in your opening hand, and why when we don't have a level 3 in our opening hand, we say we bricked, right? Because then you have to hard play a level 4, and you have to pass over a lot more memory. So Lucimon can Digivolve over eggs, and nothing can Digivolve on top of it. So it's kind of its own standalone card. It's almost like an option card in that sense. It's not really a level 3. So people will say, oh, I'm playing 14 rookies, but they have 2 Lucimons in their deck. Like that, they're really playing 12 rookies, and then they wonder why they break. So for that reason, I like the promo Patamon, which is if you have 1 or fewer security on play, recover 1. Sounds situational, but it comes up a lot, actually. There's a lot of very fast, aggressive decks out there. You can burn yourself, especially in Massimon variants. This card is super good because you trash your own security and you have blinding rays. And it's a 4 to play. So even in situations where, let's say, you're against green OTK and they clear your entire security and they pass you over the turn, boom, promo Patamon, they can't win the game anymore because most of the times when they go for that OTK early, the Grand Kuwaga Chaosmon stack is the only stack they have on their board. They don't have a follow-up attack necessarily. So Patamon can save you, buy you another turn. Salamon, on deletion, recover 1. This card is like a little too slow right now. If you only have slot for like one recovery card between Lucemon, Patamon, and Salamon, I definitely recommend Patamon. It's a little expensive. Let's see. It doesn't show. I think they're like $7. Let's see. Detour. $12. Okay. Fair enough. But in comparison to Lucemon, which costs $56. So yeah, if you're going for value, get these Patamons. The Salamon is $1. So this is the real budget choice for recovery, but it's just too slow. So I recommend going for this Patamon. It's the good middle ground option. All right. Bushi Agamon. This card is also cracked. It's 5 cost to play, but again, you can play it for free, and it has a rush. So sometimes it's the extra attack you need to go for game. We all know Bushi for game. You know, they Lord Knight summon the Bushi, swing for game, or Blinding Ray summon the Bushi, swing for game. Play 2 or 3 in your deck. Pulsemon. This card is also super controversial because it is incredibly expensive and hard to get. I think it's gone down a bit in price actually from the Evo Cup reprints, I guess you would call them. Well, there's just going to be more Pulsemons out on the market because everyone gets 2 for entering the Evo Cup. But yes, this card is very good. If you have Pulsemons, you do play them in your deck. You can get away without playing them, and there are some decent substitutions you can run. We'll go over those right now. But Pulsemon is a little irreplaceable in the sense that its effect is good early. It's especially good if you're at 3 memory, so like mid game, and then late game it becomes a 2-drop vanilla, which is again why you can justify not playing the vanillas in your yellow decks, because Pulsemon kind of fits that slot. Also combos very well with Massimon because you can bring it back with Massimon, and then your Massimon only costs 3. So you don't have to pass over the turn, since it's normally Massimon costs 4. So yep, Pulsemons, if you have them, play them 3 or 4. I think most lists play 3. You can definitely justify 4. I guess play however many you have, you might as well. If you don't have Pulsemons, what do you play? Your options are this Kotemon? I don't know how you pronounce that. It's your searcher. It's your Lord Knight searcher. Top 5, add a warrior and or holy warrior 2, so you can get 2 hits off of this. I think these searcher cards are super inconsistent. I personally don't like them, and sometimes they can even like mess up your draws. Like you can bot deck cards that you probably actually needed to see, and then if you whiff, it just feels super bad. If you don't have Pulsemons, you could play this instead. I wouldn't play more than 2. Just because it's a card that loses value the later on in the game it goes. Like, you don't want to see this late game. Ideally, you want to see this turn 1, but then you have to hard slam it and give your opponent 3 memory. And then if you whiff, it just feels super duper bad. Of course, if you're cracked, you could hit like a Lord Knight and a Nightmon off of it and then pop off. But again, it's such a coin flip. Yeah, 1 or 2, ideally 0 of this card. If you don't have Pulsemons, you can play Patamon from the yellow starter deck. When an opponent's Digimon is deleted by dropping to 0 DP, gain 1 memory. You delete a lot of Digimon by reducing their DP to 0. The 1 memory can come up and help you extend your plays. If you don't have Pulsemons, you can play 1 or 2 of these guys. I think it's fine. Salamon, when attacking, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 1000 DP. It's basically you can stack it with the Pikmon and the Coromon, and your other minus DP effects. It's essentially an extra copy of those. I think the card is perfectly okay. Again, if you don't have Pulsemons, you can play these instead. So let's say you see a build that runs 3 Pulsemons and you don't have them. What would you replace them with? I would play maybe 1 Kotemon and 2 Patamons or 2 Salamons. I think that's perfectly reasonable. Lotmon. Don't play this unless you're playing Rookie Rush. Cutemon. This card is very, very good. Opponent's turn, they can't reduce Digivolution costs. So what does that stop? It stops green. It stops their Digisorption effects, so Blossomon and Argomon. It stops hidden potential. And it stops... There's one other card in green that stops. Why am I... maybe not. But it does stop Imperial Dramon. That's the one that people kind of forget about. So Imperial Dramon effect is if they Digivolve it on top of a Pyldramon or a Dynamon, they reduce the memory cost by 2. So that's how they get their combo off, is that they're at 3 memory, Pyldramon swing, Digivolve into Imperial, restand, swing twice, and then they can finish off with a Blitz Omni. They need 3 memory for that. If you force them to have to pay 5 for the Imperial Dramon, it ruins their whole combo, or it forces them to have Davis and 2 Hammer Sparks. So at that point, they just have the nuts. But more often than not, Cutemon will stop their play, and because Imperial doesn't really play removal outside of Cocytus Breath, it will also stick. So you can kind of just throw the Cutemon out whenever, and you will screw them over. They can't get rid of it, or they're going to Cocytus Breath it, and then you're going to laugh because you just drop it again next turn. All right, that's it for level 3s. I don't think I missed any. So level 4s. Yellow has the worst level 4s in the game. The only level 4s worth playing are Tururumon, the vanilla, one cost to evolve, Pitomon, your 1 cost to evolve blocker, and your Unimon, your 2 cost to digivolve blocker. Those are your generic, always good, only good level 4s. There are 2 other level 4s that see play. Gladiemon, this card sucks. It's really bad. It's a super, super big bait. Do not play this card. Do not play this card at all. If you really insist, like maybe you're a sacker and you always like hit it off of Lord Knight, and then you look at your security and you hit another Knightmon or Lord Knight, play 1. You don't need more than 1, because guess what? Every single Gladiemon after the first one is going to whiff. So yeah, this card's trash. And Gatomon. Gatomon is good in Massimon builds because you can bring back a blocker and heal. Play 1 or 2 in a Massimon build. Don't play more than that. And if you do play the Gatomons, you replace them over Unimons, or you can also maybe even take out a Tururumon, which is the build that got 2nd place, I believe, replaced the Tururumon with a Gatomon. The first, the one that plays the 2 Massimon, 2 defeats. We'll go over that build. I actually think it's really good. Level 5s. Your level 5s are pretty standardized. So you have your 2 costs to Digivolve level 5s. There's the Cyromon, Superstarmon, and Antilamon. So this one, you're choosing between costs to hard play and their DP. So this one, 5 to play, lowest DP, 6k. This one, you split the difference, so it's 6 to play, 7k DP. This one, 7 to play, 8k DP. Which one do you play? It really depends. Cyromon is going to help you the most with bricks, again, because it only costs 5 to play. And Telamon is going to be able to swing over other level 5s, because the average costs of level 5s in this game, or DP of level 5s in this game, is 7k. And it'll also live against enemy removal, so in mirror matches. And Starmon splits the difference between the 2. I play Starmons just because I like to split the difference. But yeah, it's really up to you. Just keep those things in mind on what the real differences are between those cards. But you play them for the 2 cost of Digivolve, which is important, especially in the mirror match, because it'll let you get to your level 6 before they do. And that's very important because you want to see Lord Knight first in mirrors. Wargreymon, this card is cracked. So Digiburst 2, minus 4000 DP. This is the card you want to see in your raising area first. Yeah, if you see the Wargreymon, and you can hide it in your raising, and you threaten to remove one of their cards, it puts them in a really bad situation, especially because good players will also assume you have the Slash, so they get scared to commit cards, and that gives you a really big advantage in the game. play 3 or 4. Angelomon. When digivolving, security attack -2 on an opponent's card. It does come up. A lot of times you use your Angelomon in raising, but you can bring up your raising stack and then digivolve Angelomon on top of it, and it will save you an attack. So keep that in mind. Don't always just hide it in raising, even though you do want to save the inheritable, which is, if you have 3 or fewer security, you can play a level 3 Digimon from your hand for free. So you're basically doubling down on your Lord Knight effect with Angelomon. The problem with this card is that you have to be at 3 or less security. So unlike the Wargreymon decks from last format, you don't burn yourself as much in Lord Knight. So this card's effect comes up a lot less. If you still insist on playing the card because it has a very powerful ceiling, like when it does go off, it's like a high roll version of the deck that you can play. I wouldn't play more than 2. So most of the time, you would be choosing between Angelomon or these vanillas, and I think the vanillas are a lot more consistent and give you a lot more value, especially in the mirror match. Knightmon, you must play 4 of this card if you play Lord Knightmon. On play, one of your opponent's Digimon gets 4,000 DP. So it's essentially a faster version of Wargreymon, especially once you have your Lord Knight set up. If you can start chaining Knightmons, it's GG for your opponent. They can't do anything, especially if you have the level 6s to turn them into. Lord Knightmon, the whole point of the deck, play 4. Slash Angemon. This card is insane, especially, like I said, when you combo it with Wargreymon or Knightmon or any of your other DP reduction effects. You want to play... It depends on your build. You can play 1, you can play 2, you can play 3. I could even say that you can play 4. You can probably justify playing 4 Lord Knight, 4 Slash if you're really just committed to the DP reduction build. Opponents always are scared of this card, and then if they forget about it, it can come in and punish super hard. This card is super, super good. Don't let the 8,000 DP fool you. So you can swing with it, and it oftentimes lives, surprisingly. Or, you can just turn it into a Valderon and get even more value out of it. Wargreymon. Excuse me. This is a card that people kind of forgot about. I think in Digimon right now we have a problem where we kind of forget about cards from older sets and just play the version of the color that's the newest. But Wargreymon has a very cool niche in that it actually destroys Lord Knightmon, specifically. It's not as good against other decks, but against Lord Knight specifically, the card is absolutely insane. And the reason why is because you can always kill their Lord Knightmon with Wargreymon, unless they have 2 blockers. So the way it works is you bring out your Wargreymon, and then you use the when attacking effect, and you minus 6,000 DP on their Lord Knightmon. So unless their Lord Knightmon is 17,000 DP, so they have to have 6 other guys on their board, your Wargreymon will swing over it. And then if they want to protect it, they have to toss a blocker at your Wargreymon, but guess what? Wargreymon can attack again. So then you just swing again at the Lord Knightmon, forcing them to have 2 blockers. And oftentimes they don't. So the card is super, super good in the mirror match specifically. If you play a lot of Lord Knight mirrors at your locals, consider playing 2 or 3 Wargreymons in your build. You will see some success with that card. Massimon. This is another card that helps you out in the mirror and also gives you value against a lot of other decks. It kind of lets you double down on your swarming because, again, you can play a level 3 or a level 4 from your trash to your board, and you trash one of your opponent's security. So there are situations where, let's say, you can Blinding Ray, put yourself over 4 memory. Massimon, bring out, let's say a Bushi. So then the Massimon trashes one of their security, and the Bushi brings out an extra attack. So that makes your opponent 2 less security than they probably thought they were. So you can kind of get game in cheesy ways with Massimon. Not to mention the combos with the Gatomon specifically. So you can bring out a heal and a blocker for in one card, and that gives you a lot of tempo in the mirror. And against just every deck in general. That's just a very high value play. And plus all your other really good on plays. So Pulsemon, again, if you're at 3 security, you can bring out the Pulsemon. You gain back a memory, so your Massimon is only 3 memory to play instead of 4. And then you can also draw a card. Again, high value play. Patamon, since you trash your own security, oftentimes you'll be at 1 or 0, so the Patamon helps you heal. And the Starmons if you need a clear board. So that's why Massimon is good. Massimon also gives you access to Zwart Defeat. Zwart Defeat is a very good card in yellow because you run so many healing effects. So you can put cards from your deck into your security with TK and all your other healers. You have a higher chance of seeing Zwart in your security. And then you can Digivolve it on top of Massimon and you can get the on deletion, on Digivolving delete an opponent's tamer, which is very good. It's very good. We're all kind of used to our tamers sticking on the board. So when someone deletes your tamer, it really ruins all your plays because you were counting on that 3 memory and all of a sudden they got rid of it. And because Word Defeat only costs 3 memory to Digivolve, oftentimes you can delete their tamer and pass them less than 3 memory on that same turn. Super high value play, and they have to deal with this Word Defeat, and if they do deal with it, then one of their other Digimon also dies. This card's nuts. So it's definitely one of the reasons to play the Massimon build, is just to have access to this card. If you're not playing Massimon, don't play Zwart Defeat. It has a very high chance of bricking in your hand, because if you're like me, you just draw your 2 Zwart Defeats every turn, every game anyways, and you're just sad about it. Valderon, for decks that aren't playing Massimon, this is your level 7 of choice. You just minus 7,000 DP twice, and then on deletion you gain 3 memory. It's just a generically good card. I don't have to explain why it's good. TK, best memory tamer, like I've said before, play 3. Yeah, play 3 TKs. Blinding Ray, you want to play 2 or 3 of this card to extend your plays. It's especially good late game when you're at low security, because sometimes you can even play it for free for no cost, and it enables so many of your plays. 2 or 3. Spiral Masquerade, I actually don't think you need this card in Lord Knight decks. I think you have enough DP reduction without it, and oftentimes it can be a dead draw. You don't really want to see options other than Blinding Ray in your Lord Knight deck, because all your Digimon give you the effects you want to see anyways. And finally, this is a kind of a cheesy card that I've seen some people run. Meteor Shower. You can play a Starmon's, any card with Starmon in its hand, in its name from your hand. So that's the level 3 Starmon, the level 4 Starmon, and interestingly, the level 5 Starmon. So if you're a real high roller, you can, let's say turn 1, you can play Meteor Shower for 3 memory and then drop a Super Starmon. So instead of playing this for 6, you play it for 3, and then you threaten the Lord Knight on the very next turn. So you can super turbo into your Lord Knights. The on security effect is the same as the main. So if they check it in security and you have a Starmons in your hand, maybe you can cheese and like kill one of their attackers to prevent them from going for game or something. I don't know. It's a cheese card for sure, but it's kind of funny and I kind of like it, so that's why I mention it. All right, so that's pretty much all the viable yellow cards. Don't think I missed any, so we're gonna go into the example builds. Yellow has a lot of viable builds right now. Most of them are just Lord Knight variants, and there's a few that aren't. So we'll go over them very quickly. The most basic generic one, like your most standard version of this deck, is just Lord Knight Slash. So here you can see how I talked about how you can kind of tech your babies. So 3 Pikmon, 1 Coromon, 1 Upamon, they're all good and they will all come up. 2 Bushis, 2 Cutemons, 4 Starmons you have to, 2 promo Patamons. Like I said, I like this card better than Massimon because it doesn't brick. And in a lot of instances, it will have the exact same effect. And for Pulsemons, you can take out a Pulsemon and do a 3rd Bushi, or if there's a lot of green and Imperials, you can do the third Cutemon. Or if you don't have access to Pulsemons, like I said, you can play the Kotemon and the starter deck Patamon, or the Salamon. That's minus 1000 DP when you attack. So those are your options there. 4 Turrimons, 4 Pitomons, and 3 Unimons for 11 level 4s. There isn't anything else you can play. Okay. 4 Nightmons, mandatory in a Lord Knight deck. 3 Wargreymons and 2 Superstarmons. So again, these can be Sirenmon or Antilomon, and yeah, that's pretty much your only options. Or you can play Angelmons, but again, like I said, I don't like Angelmons in this basic vanilla Lord Knight version because you don't bring yourself as much, so you're not going to get the effect off. Okay, 4 Lord Knightmons, you have to. 3 Slashes, 3 Boulder Arms, 3 Blinding Rays, 3 TKs. This is the most basic standard version of this deck that you can run. If you don't know what to play, this is your starting point. Alright, and now we're going to get into the techs, the tech builds. Okay, let's go with the most popular one is the Lord Knight Massimon. So, same babies. 3 Bushis, 2 Cutemons, 4 Starmons, 2 Patamons, 3 Pulsemons. So it's the same lineup as the other one, except I already took out the 4th Pulsemon for the 3rd Bushi. Bushi comes up a lot more in this deck because of Massimon. Okay, 3 Turrimons, 4 Pitomons, 1 Gatomon. Here's the 1 Gatomon that you can play because you're running Massimon. And 3 Unimons. If you want, you can do 2 Unimons and 4 Turrimons. But having the blocker is good. Just the non-conditional blocker. Because sometimes you do turn your Massimon into a Zwart defeat, and then your Galtomon is no longer a blocker, and that can put you in some weird situations. Alright, so 4 Nightmon, 3 Wargreymon, 2 Superstarmon. Same reasoning as before. These can more viably be Angelmons because, again, the Massimon burns you, so your Angelmon effects will be a little more live. However, I do like the 2 cost to Digivolve. It does come up a lot more than you think, and it will help you get to your level 6s faster than your opponent, and especially in a build like this, which has a higher shot in the mirror. That kind of just doubles down on that. So if you play a lot of mirrors, do the 2 Superstarmons or Sirenmons or Antilomons. 4 Lord Knights, 2 Massimons, 1 Slash. So the 2 Massimon is a pretty good number. You see them when you need to see them, and you don't see them when you don't need to see them. But more often than not, you do need to see them because for whatever reason in this deck, your Zwart defeats get magnetized to your hand. I'm sure everyone who's played this variant has had that experience. 1 Slash, you could do 2 Slashes. I was running 2 Slashes at one point, and then you can cut a rookie. So I think I was running this. So that's 13 rookies and 8 level 6s. You do break a little bit more. Just shuffle better is my advice. Just get good. No, but yeah, you can do either way, and it's fine. 1 Valder Arm and 2 Zwart defeats. So again, it's the 3 level 7s ratio. I think that's a good ratio to play 3 level 7s. 2 Zwart defeat on top of 2 Massimon. It seems weird on paper, but it does work out because again, your Zwart defeats can cast themselves in security, so they're a little bit more live than it would be in other situations where you run this kind of weird ratio. And okay, 2 Blinding Rays because we need to make room for the 1 Tai Kabiya and Matt Ishida. This card is very, very good, especially in the mirror, because in the mirror it's whoever gets to Lord Knight first, and sometimes if you have the Tai and they have their Lord Knight, they have to pass you over 4 or 5 memory every turn, especially if you already have TK established. It's at least 5 memory every turn. Super duper good, and the security attack +1 can cheese you some wins out if you have this Zwart defeat out. And finally 3 TK. I like this build a lot. I played this build right after the guy got 2nd place at the regionals. I took it from the Huang Zero Discord. He posted his build. Shout out to that guy. He has a good channel as well. I think the guy's name is Nobu. So he got 2nd at the regional. He posted his build. I net decked it immediately. Took it to locals the very next day. Got 1st place. Took it to another locals after that. Got 1st place. Deck is super strong, super consistent. You have a lot of room for cool plays, combos, etc. If you want to play a version of the deck that has a higher ceiling but has a little bit more chance at inconsistency, again, because you're playing like the Zort defeats that you can dead draw, and the tie-in mat sometimes doesn't come up when you want it to. Yeah, play this version of the deck. Alright, moving on. We have the version of the deck that you want to play if you want to beat the mirror every time. 3 Bushis, and here we actually see I do play the Lucemon, and I'll explain why. So I split it. Instead of playing 2 promo Patamons, I play 1 promo Patamon and 1 Lucemon. So effectively, again, I have 13 rookies, because I don't count Lucemon as a rookie, because it breaks on turn 1. And 13 rookies is the lowest you want to go. So I split it like that. 2 Keepmon, 4 Starmons, 3 Pulsepons. Standard level 4s. And here we see the big difference is I brought back the Angelmon. Why? Because in this version of the deck, we're playing Wargreymon, and Wargreymon burns you. It burns yourself. So the effect becomes a lot more live. And also, it's not once per turn, and Wargreymon attacks twice per turn. So you can, in theory, get 2 level 3s out with the Angelwoman effect on the same turn. And because of that, the Lucemon is a lot more live. So that's why we fit the Lucemon in this deck. Alright, 4 Lord Knights, 3 Valderarms, 3 Blinding Ray, 3 TK. This can be your 3rd Wargreymon, but I do like the 1 Slash. Alright, moving on. We have the version of the deck if you want to beat Lord Nightmon and play yellow, but you don't want to play Lord Nightmon. I've seen people play this build, and I don't think it's quite as good. You do miss out the Lord Nightmon, but oh, I clicked the same build. Hold on. Oops. Pure Wargrey? Was it this one? Yeah. Oops. Okay, so what was I saying? Okay, so the big boon of this version of the deck, so you're just playing pure Wargreymons, so that's your main boss, 3 Slashes, is you can afford to run a lot more Angelmons. Again, because the Wargreymon makes it a lot more live. You could even do this. But I like 3 Angelmon. I think that's a fine ratio, and Wargrell is a little too good. Especially in a version of the deck where you don't have to fit in the 4 Nightmons. Other changes of this build, 4 Bushis, because Bushi is a lot more live thanks to the Wargrey and Angelwoman interaction. The 1 Lucemon again. 3 Starmons. Yeah, I play 3 Starmons in this one because you're not getting it as much off of Lord Knight, but you can definitely still like do this, I think. Or even this. And that's still good. In fact, I probably would. I probably would play 4 Starmons. I don't know why I put 3. Everything else is pretty standard. Went over all the reasoning behind the other cards already. What else? There was one more build, I think. Oh yeah, the Massimon Wargreymon build. So same idea, except Massimon is your big boss, and then the change here is the addition of the Red Rise Greymon. Why do we play Red Rise Greymon in pure Massimon builds? Because you can Digiburst. Even if you don't have a Tamer in your hand, you can still Digiburst. Why do you want to do that? It's because it lets you get a level 3 and a level 4 in your trash, which you can then bring back with Massimon. So, also the Inheritable is pretty good. If you have a Tamer in play, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 2000 DP for the turn. So it's essentially a fatter version of your babies. And sometimes you do get the Tamer off for free with its effect. So it's a very good card. You don't play this in other yellow builds because you simply do not have the room. But in this version of the deck you do, and you need that Digiburst effect to more consistently get off your 4 Massimons. In this version of the deck we also play a lot more Gatomons. Again, because you're using the Massimon effect a lot more because you're playing more. You could probably cut this to 2 and then play the 1 Unimon, and that's still good. Because again, having just the guaranteed blocker is strong. 3 Wargreymons because it will help you beat the mirror. This could be Slash. This could even be Lord Knight. This could even be Sakuyamon. It's a card I'm not going to talk about outside of just mentioning it like that. It gets better next format. You play 3 Zork defeats because you can afford to play 3 now with 4 Massimons. You'll see it a lot more in security. Conversely, you'll also draw it more, but you don't care because your main boss is purple, so that's fine. 3 Blinding Rays, 3 TKs. Alright. There is one more version of the deck that I can show you guys really quick. I'm going to bring up... this is my buddy Miller Booker B. He, I believe, found this build online. So this is going to be a throwback to all you BT5 Shine Greymon lovers. Let's zoom this in over here. Oh, why won't it? Hold on. There we go. This is a Nokia yellow Greymon deck. And it's definitely for fun. It's for fun for sure. It does win games. My buddy, he actually won. It was a 3-round local. He won it with. We call it our Weird Wednesdays, where everyone kind of plays their fun deck. But he did win it out. He won, and he said the deck felt good and it was fun to play. So I'm not going to really talk about the intricacies of the deck because I'm not super familiar with it. But the basic idea is that you have your Nokias to reduce the cost of your Shines and your War in Slash or Shine Greymons. And then you have your 4 TKs to Karis. So, yep, that's a fun version of the build of the deck that you can play, of yellow, I mean. Alright, so that'll do it for how to build yellow. If you guys still don't know what yellow deck you want to play, for whatever reason, I hope this gave you some ideas. As far as matchups go, I think for a tournament where you're not 100% sure on what the field is going to be, I would take the most basic version, the Lord Knight Slash, because that just has the most general good matchups, and you can win just based on the sheer brute force of that deck. If you're expecting a lot of mirrors, definitely consider running Wargreymons in your deck, just purely based on the fact that Wargreymon will solo win you mirror matches. If you're expecting to play into nothing but Lord Knightmons, take a pure Wargreymon deck. And if you feel like your brain is bigger than your opponent's, take the Massimon versions of the build. Especially the Lord Knight Massimon one that plays the Time Mat. This one. I think this is a very, very powerful version of the deck. I would highly consider or highly recommend you try out this build for sure. Alright guys, so that'll do it. I'm going to take a short break and then I will upload the how to beat yellow video. It'll be up later today, so stay tuned. Thanks guys.